Hey students, this is Leslie. I just wanted to give you a demonstration of maybe how you can go about achieving your pattern posters and using Illustrator as a way to sort of generate some ideas. Um, so to go back to the project brief, patterns can be a range of things. There's a lot of inspiration out there. But it's easy to get bogged down into the details of it, and Illustrator is a really nice way to quickly rotate things and copy things to sort of see where an idea can come from. So I'm going to start with our poster layout requirement dimensions. It has to be a portrait layout at 18 by 24. So I'm going down to Illustrator, and this is one I already did. But I'm going to do a new document and make sure that the size is 18 by 24 and the orientation is in portrait. Click OK, and here's your document. So what we are really looking at is this idea of repeating a singular object, and I think I've already explained it pretty well with what you're looking for within the sort of context of the design approach for this project, which is what sort of symbolizes this competition. But I wanted to demonstrate some techniques in Illustrator that might help you along the way from just copy paste. I'm going to do it with a project that a previous student of mine did. His project was about legs, and they were generating a pattern. So the idea is relatively simple. For him, his was about legs, so he was going to go find some legs. So you can Google legs vector. And it doesn't have to be a vector, but what is usually produced is more of a stamp outline type quality. So sometimes that's easier to live trace. And also sometimes you can download the vectors. Often that's a big hassle, but for what it's worth, you can just go here and find a pair of legs that you like and use them as the basis for your exploration. So I'm just going to start with this one. I think all of these could be interesting, but I will show you one way, and a good way for me to come back is to pick another set of legs and explore them. So I'm just going to take this. I don't even have to go and find a different image or click through. I can just right click here and copy this image because it doesn't really need to increase its resolution, and because I'm going to be tracing it anyways, so this is fine. I go into Illustrator and I paste it there. So again, we're going to do immediately a live trace, and from your tutorials you probably remember this, but up here is this thing called image trace. What is important to know is this wonderful arrow to the side, which has a menu and has different sort of ways of tracing. Some actually take more time than others. This one will not take a lot of time at all, but for us, the black and white, or for this one specifically, the black and white logo is perfect. So we'll just click on that, and you see that text, everything was simplified. Now when I click and expand, the legs have become a vector rather than a JPEG. It has assumed values about pixels and generated a vector outline based on that. So it's good to know that while in my perspective it looks like there's just a black leg outline, there's actually a bunch of white around it. And before I get started, I definitely want to delete that. So I'm just gonna go in here, and I finally got to the white portion, and I'm just going to delete it. I don't need that stuff. So back to the legs. An easy way to generate pattern is by copying. So to copy quickly in Illustrator, all you have to do is hold down Alt, and you can make a billion copies. If you wanted to make sure that they were all in a row or going either up or down, perpendicular 90 degrees, all you have to do is hold down Alt and Shift at the same time. So if you hold down Shift, it only allows you to go in the horizontal or vertical direction. Okay? So another way to sort of abstract your pattern and make it look not so literally like a set of legs is to employ some mirroring techniques or reflection techniques. So what I'm going to do is click on my object, right click, transform, and reflect. And then this is going to pop up. It gives you a lot of, you can click preview to see how it will change. You can change the axis. So if you want it to flip up, that would be horizontal. If you wanted it to flip to the side, that'd be vertical. You could even have it angled in whatever way you wanted. Could be. But we're just going to do, for my purposes, horizontal for now. And you can either click OK or click copy, and it will create a copy right over top of the legs we previously had. So copy. Now I'm just going to go ahead and drag this straight up. Zoom in a little bit. And there's something. I could take this object and copy it. And maybe reflect again in the vertical, another copy. So there's different ways to sort of achieve this effect. I'm going to go back to the basic and say I want to maybe modify this object even more. I'm going to grab these two sets of legs, right click again, transform, reflect, and now in the vertical, copy, and sort of try and make this my my pattern that I'm going to reflect. Like, this is my object now. So once you get to sort of this in the poster, it's like a lemon maybe, or this bike, you want to sort of group your foundation object to make sure it all stays together. So I'm going to select all 4 of these parts by marking over all of it, right-clicking and hitting group. Now these objects are all together, and whenever I move them, they all stick together, which is exactly what we want, so that none of our legs get detached mid-move and we have to go back and it's a pain. So for now, I'm just going to grab this, and again, going back and using Alt and Shift, I'm going to just drag it over and make a copy. And I'm going to drag it up and make a copy. So as you can see really quickly, this is abstracting beyond just a leg. And it's starting to read as a pattern rather than just legs. I'm using Alt and Shift, dragging it up, and using the arrows to slightly adjust each one. So let's just say this is my basic pattern for this. I'm just going to expand it because it's fine. Now I can do a lot of different things, right? Now that it almost feels like Christmas paper or something, but it's definitely reading as non-legs, which was my goal. It doesn't have to be your goal. I think that all the other sort of pattern posters that are out there are very interesting, but this is a different way to quickly sort of generate ideas. So I'm going to do additional explorations, still in Illustrator, by creating additional documents in this file so that I can drag this over and change it and manipulate it. So to create a new artboard, that's what this white space is called, I go to Document Setup and Edit Artboards. And once I click this button, which is a new artboard, it will automatically generate this little marquee, which is essentially an artboard, the exact same dimensions of the artboard I put in. If you ever wanted to change anything, here's the width and the height. This is kind of hard. I don't recommend manipulating that, but this is where your width and height come in. And you click there. And once you click back onto the arrow, you have a new artboard. So I can drag this over. I can put a bright yellow or green, I don't know, cyan blue. I can take my rectangle tool I think I'm in. I was in a grayscale for some reason. So I can draw this, but what I really want is it to go to the back. You can do that through layers. You can also do it by right-clicking on your object, arrange, and send to the back. You can also, this happens a lot with backgrounds, you'll like accidentally keep selecting it and it's annoying. So you can right-click and, you can go up to Object and lock the selection. So I definitely like it better with color, but maybe, I don't know, maybe this color needs to be different. I don't know. What's a good color? Yellow. White. White's not bad. I still am having like grayscale problems. But then maybe I'll, instead of doing a fill, I can change this and make this not filled in at all. And then make this have a little outline. Adjust this. Oops. So grab all the legs, no fill, white outline, and now you have this. I can go in here, grab all 4 of these, and while you might not know some of these, it's key to sort of acknowledge when you don't understand something and then go look it up yourself. For example, you might not know the Pathfinder window, and it's really great for finding shapes immediately. So for example, I have 4 sets of legs that are overlapping, And I really don't think I want this sort of like intersection show. So by using Pathfinder, which you will find tons of tutorials on online, I can click here and immediately delete that path. So I could have gone to these four, done a Pathfinder, transform, reflect in the horizontal. Oh, it's there. My bad. I just need to copy it, but whatever. I like that the tips of the heels are touching, but that means that my shoes are intersecting. So again, I can go in here, grab that Pathfinder, and it's fixed. So Pathfinder is like very interesting for creating sort of abstract shapes. Perhaps I wanted to go in and grab this part and for no reason after I've done everything and make it yellow. Whoops, didn't mean that, but well, you kind of get the point. This needs to be, nope. Anyways, but you get the idea. So this is something that you can work on. At the same time, a good way to explore is through scale. So another immediate thing I would do is go into document setup, create another artboard, and see what it looks like bigger. So I think this is probably okay if it was blown up a little bit. So I actually like this a little bit better because it's kind of more apparent that it's legs. So there's a lot of things you can quickly do to sort of explore an idea. You can use the same techniques and go back to your Google searches and find a different set of legs. These are kind of interesting because you could have two different legs that sort of line up onto each other. You could have this one, it would create a completely different thing. This one would play something completely different. Black and white logo, expand, zoom in. You can delete all this little stuff that's hanging out around it. That looks good. And again, we're just going to do the same exercise we were doing. Transform, reflect. Let's do it in the vertical. Copy. Transform, reflect. Do it in the horizontal. Copy. Oops, I must have moved it not perfectly. So that's something completely different, and it's interesting. So you can quickly see how many passes at this will inevitably generate something completely unique. I hope this is helpful. Feel free to email me if you have any questions.